are back for another episode of Rogers Rulez. Kahm Broham, Andrew Rogers here to break the Big Ten Media Day down. It is the preface of Big Ten Media Days, and there's a couple of things I wanted to hit on there. But before we even get there, there was something that took place last week that Cam and I haven't gotten to yet, and I want to make sure we get to it before it becomes too late to even talk about. And that involves a national anthem that was sang before the Home Run Derby. That national anthem, and but before we go further, this is not a bashing on Ingrid and her personal issues and her checking herself into rehab, because that's a real thing. But this take that out of the equation. We're just going to talk about the national anthem and how we reacted to it real time before anything else came out. Because I think that's only fair. If you're going to give us that, if that's going to be your effort, I should be able to talk about it before I actually know the outcome to something. I thought I was listening to Fergie round 2.
Or even the Roseanne.
That one is high up on the list of worst national anthems.
Yes. Yeah.
Where does Ingrid rank? Where does she rank? She's top 3.
Yeah, that's those
top three worst national anthem I've ever heard.
Definitely.
And the reason I'm okay with bashing the anthem part, not the person, the anthem, is like that's this country's song, right? That's like where you live. Like you live to respect what that song stands for. And that rendition was disrespectful. So I'm going to bury the disrespectful part of it. You show up to the national anthem. You know you're doing it. It's not like they just pulled you out of the crowd and said, hey, you're the lucky fan that's singing tonight. No, I'm planning to sing the national anthem. And you can't tell me that she was only drunk singing this anthem. Her eyes were wandering.
Yeah.
Wandering. She was crossfading in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what else was mixed into that anthem, but it wasn't good.
A nice mixture cocktail of some sort. Yes.
Which is what led to her coming out and saying, hey, I probably this is like my slap in the face, my come to Jesus moment. I probably should do better. And so she did. She did go out and do better. But my goodness.
Now, have you heard of this gal before?
I have. And so the reason I have is because I'm a country fan. She's a country artist.
Gotcha.
And she sings a song. It's like a sappy love song about bringing a boy home, but like knowing that like I love hard and don't break my heart sort of thing. It's More Hearts Than Mine, I think is what it's called. Because if you're gonna come into my family, you're gonna break more hearts than just mine if something were to, fall apart. And so that song was super popular. I mean, if I look it up on Spotify right now, I think I nailed it too with More Hearts Than Mine.
Yeah. I just Googled her too, and she had a song called Wishful Drinking, which I'm sure she'll probably not sing ever again.
Yeah, that one with Sam Hunt. Yeah. So the More Hearts Than Mine, 152 million. Is it downloads or is it likes? What does that stand for underneath? Well, not my screen's blurred. What does that stand for? Is it gonna work?
It's not gonna work.
You see it?
Yeah, it's play number.
That's plays. That's play numbers. Okay.
Yeah.
So that song gets played a lot. It was popular because people really liked the lyrics, and I thought she did a tremendous job. If you would have told me though that her voice sounded like that live, of what it sounded like in studio, I mean, this is why no one can actually like sit back and like appreciate what an artist does anymore, because if you're watching somebody live, in the back of your mind, you're like, is he or she lip syncing? Like, is this actually their voice live? Like, you almost need to hear it a cappella, kind of like the national anthem.
Yeah.
And that did not sound like her voice at all.
Yeah,
like,
between what you know from her and that, definitely not the same person, right?
Yeah, so let me show you my facial expressions as I'm reacting real time. All right, the song starts, and I'm like,
that's not bad.
Like, now I'm kind of like, don't really know where this one's going. I'm like, ooh, that didn't sound. That was
a weird note.
Yep. Now I'm like listening a little bit further, and it's like I'm looking at the other people in the room now. Like, you get wandering eyes yourself. You're like, am I the only one hearing this?
Same page, right? We're all hearing this.
Yep. Everybody's kind of like looking at each other like, uh-oh. And by the time she got to Rocket's Red Glare, all I said was, this may be worse than Fergie. Like, that is my initial response. Like, you saw Alex Boehm smile. Like, do you remember the Fergie national anthem when they cut to every all-star and it's like Draymond does like the little, like the lick of the lips, the smile down. Steph Curry's this.
Just trying to fight it back, trying to hold it all back.
You see Chance the Rapper. Like, that's the national anthem. If you did cutaways during Ingrid's national anthem, that's what you would have seen outside of just Alec Boehm. I mean, it was bad. It was a very bad national anthem. Kudos to her for making a change in her life, but your national anthem sucked. It was horrible.
Real bad. I'm just watching it over here now just to relive it. So that's the thing too. So on Wednesdays I host trivia at a bar. So the whole home run derby was on, and I was kind of glancing at it every once in a while. And then I didn't hear anything about this national anthem. Like, I went to work the next day. I heard nothing about it. And then I get home, my wife's like, hey, did you hear about this? I'm like, what are you talking about? We watched the video, and facial expressions in that same manner went down. I'm like, oh. Because at first, like, oh, it's not bad. And then it just goes off the rails. Now, I want to know, did she nail the lyrics?
No.
She messed the whole thing up, right?
Okay. Let me see here, because I have to type in the national anthem lyrics just to like. Otherwise, I'd be singing it over here. So the Star Spangled Banner. Here we go. Well, I don't need the history lesson. Just give me the lyrics.
Okay. They did do cutaways also while she's singing, and people are just having their facial expressions be shown on TV.
Man, I'd have to hear it again. I know it wasn't right, though. Like, you hear a word and you're like, that's not the right word.
Yeah, or it's like she missed a bar and just skipped over to the next line.
She didn't like fully skip. Like, she was like basically line for line. There may have been some made up like little words, like a by when it should be like or.
Right.
Like the O apostrophe ER. Like, I'd have to really go back and listen, but there was a time where I was like, yeah, you missed that word. Like, that's not right. And the Star Spangled Banner isn't a hard song.
No.
You hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that nearly word for word if you start from the very beginning. Like, if I got asked to go sing the Star Spangled Banner at a local high school right now without practicing, I would nail it.
Yeah.
But
it's the most important song to this country.
That's it.
We all know it. We've heard it 1,000 times at least, maybe millions.
I mean, this is not even like, hey, read Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. Everybody should know it because and people support different religions. No, when you're here in this country, you know one song. There's one thing. There's not 7 songs that this country lives under. It's that one song of freedom, and it's that one. I mean, whether you like it or not, you know the song.
Yeah. And also those vocal things she was doing, like trying to harmonize. All that, like, dude, you're just killing it. That made it even worse. You know?
Yeah, I wonder what she was actually like thinking in her mind when she was singing this, because she looked like a stiff bamboo tree, just like kind of like nestled up under a blanket.
Yeah,
she's like holding the microphone like this, looking up into the sky, and I don't think she broke the character of being the walking stick from A Bug's Life, just kind of standing and just holding strong. But no, I would love to know what she was envisioning her sounding like.
Yeah.
Because if I were singing, I'd know if I had a pitch failure. Especially if I'm a recording artist, I'd know that, hey, that didn't sound right. But if you're drunk enough, high enough, whatever it is, maybe you think you sound like a dream, and in turn, you were living a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like, that's like when you're sleeping.
Karaoke night at the home run derby.
That's like when you're sleeping and you imagine yourself being chased, but you can't stand and run.
Right.
Like, you know those feelings where it's just like, I'm not running and I should be. Like, that's what she probably was feeling in real life.
Yep.
So it just didn't
good
go
on her,
well
though.
for Ingrid.
Good on her.
Good on her to check herself into rehab.
Yeah.
Bad on her for letting that happen.
Yes.
It should not have even gotten that far.
But also, so that's the thing too. Just, she's owned up to it. Everything's going to be cool. She's going to go get help. And then do you think her career is going to revive after that?
I don't know. I don't know many people of her status that can just pick up and go.
Right.
Because I don't think she's popular enough yet. Like, if this was Morgan Wallen and he had to like step aside for a year, but then he did like a redemption tour, people would know that name. Taylor Swift, if she had to step away and then she came back, like people would be like, oh, T Swift's back. Let's go. Like they would just move forward with it. If you are the best at what you do and you've grown an audience to show that, like both of those singers that I just mentioned may not be the best singers out there, but they do put on a show and they have a lot of friends and followers. Like,
very
that's
loyal
just
fan base. Yeah.
That's what it is. And all they do is attract more. It doesn't seem like they ever lose. They always just get more and more. Those are the type of individuals that could come back from this. I don't know if Ingrid's big enough to do it.
And I mean, Morgan Wallen has done that. We canceled him. The world canceled him twice, and he keeps coming back.
Which is crazy.
It's crazy.
Like, it's crazy to think the second time. The first time it was like, probably shouldn't have said that.
Right.
Now, this time it was like, hey, I'll throw a chair off the balcony, but it actually made sense with some of his songs because he let the liquor talk. So it's like, you have to appreciate that innuendo.
It's just like he's trying to, like Eminem. Have you heard his new album? His whole thing is trying to cancel himself now. He's just saying things to get canceled because he knows he can get away with it.
And yet people love it.
And people
will still love it.
Yeah. Like it was the most offensive songs I've ever heard. And I was like, it's pretty good, but
right, exactly.
You're not gonna catch me singing it out loud anywhere.
Yeah, it's like, I'll bop with that. Yeah, sure, this is cool.
Yeah, right.
And half the time he speaks so fast you can't even understand what he's saying.
Yeah, you got to put the lyrics on the screen,
So
close caption.
Going back to your point though, if I had to put money down, she wouldn't come back from this.
No,
she wouldn't. Could she be like a small like recording art? Like, could she have a career like Andy Grammer? Like, I guess like
small tours. She'll hit up
middle of the pack.
Yeah.
And just kind of your 250 hitter, nobody that's making all-star games on the regular, but you may have like a moment when you are shown on TV because you have that hit song. Like, she could probably be that. Yeah. And maybe she writes some insane song in rehab that relates to a ton of people. And she may be like another one-hit wonder, like what I think some of her songs are. But I don't think she'll be as small time as, say, Hunter Hayes, that went on tour with Carrie Underwood one time and then just fell off the face of the earth. So
I would like to see, if she does go through rehab and comes back, I would like to see her at next year's Home Run Derby redemption round.
Can you imagine?
Give her a second shot and see if she crushes it. And then we'll be like, oh, cool. Everything's great now. You did your thing, Ingrid.
Yeah, goodness. That would be one way to do it. That would be one. I don't know how you get either asked to sing or if it's like, hey, was she a hometown girl? Which
it's like, when you throw out the first pitch, you're a local celebrity for that team or whatever, right? So I bet she's probably
got to be a Ranger, like a Rangers fan.
Yeah.
So all in all, top 3 worst national anthem.
Definitely.
I mean, it's the worst I've ever heard live because I didn't hear Fergie's live.
And that's fun. Like you were in the moment. I had to wait till the next day. So you got to experience that chaos live, which I always enjoy. Like when you're in the middle of that moment and you're like, oh, this is going to be a thing. And you start tweeting about it or something, like, you're writing it out. I'm like, I didn't hear about it till the next day. But then
the first thing that I said was, oh gosh, it was on Twitter. And it was I was like, it reminded me of Fergie or something like that. Just something small. And it's the best because I'm a caption guy. Right. Not just a caption guy. I'm a bigger comment guy.
Yeah.
So like if I can type in Ingrid or Fergie and just like look at everybody posting, like instantly all I said was headed to the comments, looking around at my buddies. I'm on Twitter, headed to Twitter. I got to see what everybody else is saying because a lot of people have bigger kahunas than me.
And a lot of people are funnier than you.
Whoa, easy.
I'm just saying. Me too. It wasn't you directly.
Funnier looking, maybe.
It's like just people are funnier than you in general. The royal.
Like I said, when they don't have to worry about any sort of image and they are protected by their false looking Stephen A. Smith photo as their profile. Yeah, you can say whatever you want and you're fine. You're absolutely fine. No one's going to track you down.
Right.
My name, my image, the whole personality is attached to one thing. I got to cool it a little bit.
Yeah.
I got to pump the brakes. I will get adventurous, but sometimes you have to pump the brakes. But what a weird national anthem. What a weird moment. I mean, because it was hard for me to get excited for the Derby after that, because all I could think about was this horrific rendition of the song.
Yeah.
And then I'm on Twitter. I'm not even listening to who's being announced. I only know half the guys in the Derby by the time it starts. Thank goodness that you have that lower third with everybody participating.
Yeah, who ended up winning? You remember?
Yes. It was Teoscar Hernandez, because I was rooting for Alec Bohm.
And was he the guy that won it last year? Like he was
Teoscar?
No, the Bohm guy.
No, he did not.
Okay. Like I said, I was doing my trivia thing, so I caught up. I saw like the lower third like stats. Like, dude won it last year. Now he's coming back, and
Yeah. So Pete Alonso has been like the guy.
Gotcha.
The guy to like cheer for, the guy to bet on. I mean, if you're looking for a guy that's been it, like he's it.
Okay.
He's the guy to say, I like that. So, was it Juan Soto that beat Julio Rodriguez last year? Oh man,
I'll tell you, I didn't watch it last year for sure.
I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say, was it Juan Soto? Son of a gun. Was it Vladdy G that won last year?
Sounds like a name that I'm not big on baseball. I'll go to a game any day and be at the ballpark and have some hot dogs and whatnot. But watching on TV, it's just nap time.
Okay, so Vlad Guerrero Jr. won last year.
Okay.
Did he beat 2023 home run? See, I don't know if Julio Rodriguez was last year or the year before. I think it was last year, because I thought I bet on him and he had great odds, and then he got second. Was it in Seattle? It was in Seattle, so that's why I bet on Julio Rodriguez, because he was the hometown kid.
Gotcha.
But he lost to Vladdy G, who I think put together the most home runs ever. He hit, oh my gosh.
Like he broke the home run record for the home run derby.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. holds the record for most hit in a single round. How many do you think he hit?
28.
Try 40.
Oh, okay. I'll try 40 then. 40 sounds like a good number.
Now, they did go back to a different system than they did last year, which is why you didn't see as high of home run totals. But Teoscar Hernandez beat, pretty sure it was Alec Bohm, wasn't it?
Bohm sounds familiar. That seems like a name that came out of this.
Because he had such great odds. Was he on that side of the bracket? Okay. It was Jose Ramirez. It was Bobby Witt Jr. It was Alec Bohm and Teoscar. Maybe Teoscar and Alec Bohm were the semis. He beat Bobby Witt, because Bobby Witt had a chance to win, and then he lost in the final round. Like he had a chance to end it, but then they had to go to bonus. It was like bonus of the bonus, because they tied. Okay, that's what happened, because they got 3 pitches, 3 swings, not 3 pitches, 3 swings, and Witt hit 1. He needed to hit 2 in the final round. That's how it ended. Okay, so that was the home run derby. It was a great fiasco. It was a great derby all around. I mean, it presented something for everybody. It presented a great talking point at the beginning, and it presented some drama at the end.
Yeah, it gave us 20 minutes of banter.
Yeah, it gave us a lot of time. So let us know where that national anthem ranks for you. I'm not here for the hate comments. I'm here for the grade it on the scale of worst national anthem and put it 1, 2, or 3. It can't be past 3.
No, it's top 3 for sure.
Top 3. So you put it somewhere and let us know what you think as we move ahead toward Big Ten Media Day talk. And it's something that I wanted to get to because, I mean, Media Day is Media Day. For a lot of people, it's just a chance to get excited about football season. It's a chance to just hear about what teams are kind of shaping up to be. If there's a new face to a team, you want to hear about that player. And this is for all media members, not just like, hey, Nebraska, I want to hear more about Dylan Raiola, so I'm just going to listen to what Coach Rhule has to say about him. Like, no, the guy from Purdue, the beat writer at Purdue, wants to hear the same thing. He wants to hear about Dylan Raiola. He wants to write about Nebraska and what they foreshadow this season to look like. But I think it's interesting about the people attending Big Ten Media Day, because Coach Rhule is particular about everything. I mean, I say it a lot. He's playing chess. We're all playing checkers. Right. He's 8 moves ahead. So anything that man does, there's a reason for it. I'm a big proponent of a quarterback should always be there. Your starting quarterback should always be there, because that's the guy that's going to be the face of your program. And
lead the team. He's the leader of the team.
Most of the time, though, with Coach Rhule, you don't get that. No. And so there's a reason for it. The reason I bring this up is because Dylan Raiola is not making the trip. And rightfully so. Coach Rhule does not yet want to say who the starting quarterback's going to be. Yeah. We can all assume who it's going to be. I'm basically writing that in permanent marker. But when I talked to Sasha on the show, she didn't want to say it. When I talked to Avery on the show, she didn't want to say it. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not. Because if I'm wrong, I'm going to be in the minority in terms of shocked.
Yeah.
Right? Or rather, the majority. The majority of who's going to be shocked. If you are the person that's sitting back and you're like, I think it's going to be Heinrich Harburg. Like, you are right now in the minority. Nobody wants that. Everybody wants it to be Dylan Raiola, because they want something fresh. They want something new. They don't want what happened last year. They want the number 1 quarterback recruit, or at least a top 2 quarterback recruit that comes in with a last name carrying a lot of history in that building. They want that person to play. Yeah. They know that he's capable of being great, and they want to see it right away, because this fan base is impatient. They don't want to wait anymore. They've been waiting a long time to be relatively good, not just really good, relatively. Relatively means 6 wins. Relatively does not mean college football playoff. Although I do think this schedule presents for more than relatively.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of people, they think the same thing. When you see a win total at 7.5, you don't think this team's winning 5 games or less and not making a bowl game. If Vegas is giving this number, there's a reason for it. Yeah. Vegas is not going to be off by 100. They're going to be off by less than 1.
Yes.
So going back to the guys at the podium, the 3 guys traveling are Ben Scott, Isaac Gifford, and Ty Robinson. What do all 3 of those guys have in common, Cam?
I don't know.
They are veterans. That's it, right?
It's not their first year.
It's not their first year, right. Which is exactly why Dylan Raiola is not going.
Well, that's the obvious answer. I thought there was something else, like, oh, they all have webbed feet or something weird.
They all are missing a pinky toe.
Yeah.
No, Isaac Gifford chooses to return. Ty Robinson chooses to return. And Ben Scott was a transfer last season who is back, hopefully strong enough to be under center and being a member of that O-line, trenches guy, leader guy. These guys are all leaders. These guys are all go-getters. These guys are all playmakers in their own way. But they're also guys that will run through a brick wall for anyone. Not to say that most of the guys on this team or most of the guys in football won't be that person, but you watch them play, they're mean. They're hungry. And so they carry a sort of personality that is endearing to a football fan. Ben Scott, I like that he's at the podium for a couple of reasons. One, he comes in as a transfer last season, so he's got 1 year under his belt to kind of like get to know the program. So he's been somewhere else, and now he's been here, and now he can kind of I talk further on his experience playing in the Husker football program. And then you have guys like Isaac Gifford and Ty Robinson who have been here forever and that have experienced, a lot of turmoil in terms of that coaching role and can not only speak on the impact Coach Rhule's had on him to want to come back and play again, but to also push forward and be a part of a team that they think could be really special. You don't want to play 8 years of football. And sometimes it's okay to go to school for 8 years. Yeah, they're called doctors.
Doctors.
No, they don't want to play this long of football, though, at this level, if they don't think they're going to be good. If they don't think they're going to be on a winning team. They'd either hang up the cleats now. They wouldn't put their body through it again. They wouldn't do it if they didn't love the sport, if they didn't love playing for this coach, this university. These are guys that are strategically put here that best represents Nebraska. And so I can't wait. I can't wait to hear what they have to say about how this season is going in terms of what to look forward to once fall camp begins. I mean, can you believe we are almost a month away of football?
That's awesome.
College football is almost a month away. Something to get excited about. And you always find a time to get excited about a situation like this. But I will say, away from Big Ten Media Days, polls have come out about where teams will fall in terms of Big Ten rankings this season. I'm a little shocked at where Nebraska is on this list.
I was thinking the same thing. And also, Iowa is ranked higher.
Which is a shocking thing to see.
Yeah.
So
only
you look
at two positions higher, but it's still higher,
You look at USA Today and 2024 projected order of finish as determined by 13 beat writers who cover the league for USA Today Sports. This is just USA Today. Iowa's 6, Nebraska is 8. Wisconsin is 7. Wisconsin and Nebraska, I can see them being interchangeable at the spot that they're in. I really can, because Wisconsin has gotten the better of Nebraska over the past couple of years. Yeah. So I can see that. I mean, they may not put up a ton of points. They may not, really get you excited to watch that football game. But they still have held the outcome over Nebraska. So, interchangeably, I could see that. I could see it right now.
Yeah,
as far as Iowa,
a lot of fireworks with those games.
As far as Iowa, I just don't know. I don't know what to expect. And that's another reason why I like Big Ten Media Day, because I'm going to listen to Kirk Ferentz.
Yeah,
I'm gonna listen to this Iowa team and be like, all right, who's on your team now? Who's actually still there?
I had the same question. I'm like, actually, who is even going to be the quarterback? And it turns out it's Cade McNamara, but that's I had no idea until I went and did some Googling today. So
it presents a chance to learn. It presents a chance to maybe decide where you have your team landing this year in the Big Ten, where other people have your team. I mean, it's interesting. Like I said, the spot. I'm seeing another poll, Big Ten football poll, that Nebraska is still at 8. Iowa at 5, though, above USC.
Wow.
So Big Ten media voters high on Iowa this year. Really high on Iowa. To be higher than USC is significant.
Yeah.
Ohio State seems like a runaway team.
Now on this, Ohio State and Oregon are the top 2 for this USA Today poll. What do you got on that other one you're looking at?
The other one is Ohio State as well. Ohio State, Oregon.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, I'm not that big on Ohio State this year over Oregon. I may have Ohio State at 2, but those quarterbacks did not impress me in that bowl game last year. How much growth have they actually had over the last 8 months to be able to be the first place team by far? Has to be immense. I mean, I don't know, but it has to be crazy. Oregon, though, has Dylan Gabriel. I mean, an absolute stud already in the Heisman watch. I mean, yes, you have a good running back in Judkins, that Judkins kid's coming over from Ole Miss to Ohio State. Great running back. I don't know how does he instantly start over Henderson just because he's also in the Heisman conversation, the way too early Heisman conversation. I mean, we've seen that before. We've seen it with Adrian Martinez, and that didn't go very well, just to kind of cement somebody in conversation before you actually see them back on the football field. But Henderson's been that guy for a couple of years now. Just one season, Judkins come in, he just takes right over. I don't see it. I see Henderson still number one on that depth chart. I don't know. There's a level of uncertainty there for me to wonder why Ohio State is so far ahead, those quarterbacks. And I know we didn't see their second stringer very long last year. We had to see freshman Lincoln Kienholz come in, but he didn't perform well. He didn't impress me. So what that team actually looks like this year, we'll see. We'll see. And I may be leaving a few people off the list, but this is just initial reaction to really looking at the poll, just kind of impromptu today. Nobody takes polls very seriously anyway, so I'm not saying everybody should out there, but it is something to keep in mind going into the season where the experts have these teams landing. So inform me on your thoughts. Inform me. I'll say it if you know more. Like if you have more info that I am reluctantly missing, let us know in the comments. We want to know. We want to talk about it. We'll get back after Big Ten Media Day and revisit a lot of those things that you have to say. But overall, as I scroll down the list, I don't know how Dillon Gabriel isn't above Will Howard. I don't know how that name just came to me. Will Howard, K-State transfer. Will Howard's going to be the starting quarterback at Ohio State. So don't really have to worry about those backups like I talked about in the bowl game because you have Will Howard. So that makes sense. Look at me, middle of the summer, just pulling things right out of my keister. Just like that. I'm like I move a million miles an hour. So if things get lost in the file cabinets, I'll pull them out. I'll get there. But Will Howard, you have Amika, the wide receiver, Amika Egbuka, if I'm saying that name correct. I think I am.
Probably not.
But I don't know how Travion Henderson is still behind Quinshon Judkins. So Quinshon Judkins projected, I'm seeing on this list, to land second place in preseason Offensive Player of the Year. So that's something to keep in mind. And Judkins is a beast, but I also think Henderson's pretty darn good. So that team has a lot of playmakers. But I don't know. I think Dillon Gabriel's a better quarterback. I think Oregon will look to be a better team. Maybe it's met on defense. Maybe Caleb Downs is who everybody thinks he is, and they just have more depth than Oregon. That could be. I don't hear a lot about Oregon's defense, so that could easily be. And the transition year, maybe that's another reason why people have Ohio State so far ahead. It's because Oregon still will be in adjustment mode to try to, I don't know, get a good feeling about this upcoming football season. So maybe mix Caleb Downs in with JT, the Ohio State D end, and get a little magic happening there. Am I talking myself into saying Ohio State is better than Oregon?
I think so.
Maybe I'm just playing too much college football right now, and I just like playing with Dylan Raiola.
Is that where you've been?
Dylan Gabriel.
Doing that for a week or so?
What's that?
You've been out there playing NCAA football?
Yeah, well, my brother and I mean, he's a huge Oregon fan. So maybe that's just why Oregon's fresh on the mind, because that's all he plays with. And I'm only seeing Oregon. Now I'm beating Oregon. Like Nebraska, I think, is 12-0 against Oregon right now in the Rogers household.
Nice.
So if anybody's wondering out there. But beside that, maybe I just haven't seen enough Oregon or Ohio State, because all I've been seeing is Oregon. Maybe that's why I'm high on Oregon.
Try the deal.
I'll own that. That's the team I'm seeing mostly. So, and you know what? Here's the other thing I'll say, because this is how I got to know a lot of players. College football is a great way to learn players. Like, you may not know these guys as big names right now, but I mean, play with Kennesaw State, you'll learn some players. You'll learn about some guys that play at Memphis. You'll learn about some guys that play for Wyoming, especially if you have to choose a team like that just to play in your dynasty mode. But all in all, I think after just kind of like going through the list of like who should shine on those teams, Ohio State has more shiners than Oregon. Oregon just has the better quarterback. And not often does a better quarterback serve you well in Big Ten football. Like you kind of need an all-around team. You need guys that beat you in the trenches, like a good run game. Like we're seeing, they lost Bucky Irving. Okay. And now that I'm bouncing my own thoughts off the wall, I can hear it. I can see it. I'll agree with it. Ohio State, watch out. They'll be a pretty good team.
That's what they keep saying.
I mean, will they make the college football playoff? Probably.
Now, is this the extended one?
This is.
Or it says
year of the extension.
It's happened now. Okay.
Oregon will probably make the college football playoff still. You know what's interesting is, will Michigan wins last year. They lose Jim Harbaugh. They lose J.J. McCarthy. They lose a lot. Will they just automatically be in your top 12?
And on this poll, they're tied for third.
But are they in your top 12 in college football? Because if you think about it, you want to take the top 2 from each conference, right? Each major conference. Now, there's only 4 major conferences now because of the Pac-12 just,
right.
I mean, losing their head. But if you take Oregon and Ohio State, right, you'd have to think that Texas is probably getting in this year with Quinn Ewers in the SEC.
Yeah.
You'd have to think Bama is still going to be good.
Right.
They're getting in. Georgia is going to be good again.
Yeah.
So you're going to think Georgia's in. So you have 3 teams right there at least from the SEC. Over in the ACC, I mean, pick and choose. You probably have your up years for a lot of those teams. Maybe see 1 or 2. We'll call it 2. We'll call it 2 from the ACC. Now you have 7 on the mind. So you have the ACC,
more, right?
SEC, Big 10, Big 12. You're going to see a team from the Big 12, maybe 1, maybe 2. Let's just say 1 to call it on the low end. I mean, I just named 8 teams right there. You have 4 open spots now. Like
so it's a 12-team playoff.
12-team playoff.
Gotcha.
I love it. More football. Who doesn't love more football?
I'm all about it. Yeah, I thought the top 4 thing was it just didn't
You saw the same 4 teams.
It's the same 4 teams, but it didn't do it for me because it's like, well, there was no. I mean, the competition was there, but there's no extra games. And, it's like, and also, is it single elimination?
In the college football playoff, yeah,
it is, and it will be again. So it's still there, but yeah, it's one of those.
But it's a bracket. It's like March Madness, right? You lose, you're out.
I'm in. It sounds like a great time.
Now it's a more demanding sport because you're putting your body on the line more than you are in basketball. But I mean, who doesn't love it?
Right.
Who doesn't love it? So, a little bit of thoughts on the Big Ten and where we kind of see them. I also love the fact that Coach Rhule pulled those guys aside and said these are the 3 coming to Big Ten Media Day. And just another episode of Rogers Rules. I mean, we kind of bounced all over the place, but when you join us on Thursday, it's not going to be Breakdown Big Ten Media Day just yet. We're gonna let it soak in for a week. We're gonna go through a list for you. I came across the top 100 professional athletes list. And some of these names are like, okay, I can see how they're in the top 10. But then when you're like going outside the top 10, you're like, how is that guy not in the top 10? Or how is that woman not looked at as more prestigious than this person? So we'll get to that in the next episode of Rogers Rules. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you then.